Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Say hi in chat. Always curious who's here. Well, my mouse is going crazy. Today should be fun. Some more development. I think we're going to be able to tackle some big pieces here. If you were here last week, all that work is done. So that's good news. And let's do this. That was good news. We finished all of that. And so I can move on to something else. I've got lots of fun little project ideas actually this week have been popping up in my head. So if you guys want to do something different soon, let me know. But what's up, Andres? So we'll probably keep doing Sesh today, but there's some other cool. I have some home assistant stuff, like smart home stuff. I just added this blue bar. Do we see the blue bar? So that's a good old RGB light that I added. And yes, we know about the updates. So kind of cool that I can play with that. Let's see, where is it? Oh, I probably have to assign it. So that should be fun. I got my home dashboard here. So let's see, what are we going to do? We're going to say, I'm just kind of getting my bearings straight as we wait for a few more people to show. Devices and Philips Hue. So we've got a light strip that hasn't been assigned yet. So we need to add it to default. Hold on. Light strip. So I'm never great with this tooling. Well, you know what? We're just going to pick some music and get going. But what's up, Mark? Mark, you were at the other live stream, right? We were doing the work with, we were hanging out with James and Ryan. And who else was there? Corey? That was fun. All the live streams, huh, Mark? I should have you come on. You can hang out if you want one time. Let me know if you want to be on stream. Definitely let you. And Andres, you've been around forever. You, of course, would get privileges if you wanted to come on stream. So let me show this off real quick. This is a new app called Cider. And it is a Apple Music thing written in Vue. So any web devs here, I'm a web dev guy, so Vue.js is pretty cool. And they have like performance metrics apparently are driving the development, performance in mind. And so it uses, I think, Electron for Mac. They use Tari for window builds. And then they use Socket.io, Vue.js, and Quasar, which I'm not too familiar with Quasar. But I'm guessing it's just like this cool framework that's Vue-based. Anyway, I really like this. Like, if we pick a totally different album, we'll see. I don't know if you guys know, this is the Eurovision, one of the Eurovision guys. But see, like, the whole screen morphs to the album art, which I find really fun. So anyway, kind of fun. Let's see where I'm at with volume. All right, let's do this. Yeah, so it looks like a few more people joined. Welcome in, and we will get going. So let's see. I usually put this all in a. We got our arc space for streaming. So yeah, a catch up to those that were around last stream. V2 lister, we had on the list function. We basically wanted there to be some sort of strategy, which is what I'm calling it. So there's a sourcing strategy, and all of them pass in real lister and return the sessions, right? And so now I have just this simple key value that assigns this source to this function. And then we're doing a for loop, but now we just do one loop. So like this whole thing is 46 lines, and the actual logic is like, what is this, 25 to 45? So it's like 20 lines of code for all of the list logic, and then like each one individually. So each one individually has its own logic, which is similar. So like that's tmux, Sockside is doing similar things, and then we have our config one, right? So these are all separate strategies. They live in their own files, and I believe I have decent tests for all of them. Is this one pass? Yeah. And what's kind of cool is I added test coverage to my NeoVim setup. Let me show you guys that if I can get it. NeoVim config coverage TC. Yeah. Why doesn't that work? Coverage toggle. I was playing around with this. Oh, maybe there is nothing to show for it. Weird. We did have one for what, the tmux one? Tmux test. So there's the summary. Maybe it doesn't want to play nice. It was cool that I got it working, but apparently it's not very consistent. Let's see. So that is this guy. So kind of cool. Oh, coverage is not in the test file. Yeah, you're right, Andres. You're totally right, dude. Thank you for the call out. You're always keeping me on my toes. So test coverage. See, here we go. So lister sources, right? Coverage show. Coverage toggle. It doesn't want to play nice today, apparently. Because how it works is the neo test, we overwrite the neotest go, and we add this profile. And in the current working directory, we call a coverage out. I wonder if it has to be at the root of the project. So if I'm here, so that's that. I don't know. There we go. Now it's playing nice. So anyway, those gutters tell me what's been tested and what's not. So we can see fine, tmux session hasn't been tested yet. And this guy needs to be tested. So kind of fun, kind of interesting to play around with. That's exactly right, Andres. I want to show all of you. And of course, it doesn't want to work because I want to show you, right? Now it's working. So again, we're just going to kill the server. So that was Lister. Lister's working. Lister's doing everything that I expected to. If I were to just go build v2, we can see Sesh v2, lists, and list works. Right? So here's our configs. Here's our tmux sessions. Here's our Zoxide results. And again, they're in order, which was the problem we were dealing with before. Previously, there was some issue. And so the v2 model session, we decided to have there be a directory, which is like a key value mapping. And then we have an ordered index, which is an order of all of the keys sequentially in the way that they return from their sources. So you end up with this array that we can then use in the CLI. So v2 CLI. This guy basically prints via the ordered index. So that's sort of the differentiation, if that's the right term. Yeah, so that's how, not differentiation, I guess that's just how we enforce that we return the results in the way that we'd expect. I don't have icon support yet for v2, but I think I'm really open to configuring it. So I'm kind of excited to do that one perhaps last, so that like home, we could put that home icon there in the front as an icon, right? And code could be in the front, and tmux and gitmux and all of these. I could replace these cogs with specific icons that can be defined in the config file. So that's sort of one of the things that was on my mind when I was looking through this. So it will come. But I think for now, it's best that I stay focused on the connection logic. So the connector is similar. The plan is, how much of this has changed? Yeah. So the plan is to have everything be tied to strategies. And the strategies are all a list of, functions that pass the dependency injection stuff, all the packages are tied to all of this, and then it returns a connection. And so when I do that, tmux is done mostly. Yes. We just find the tmux session using this list function that I wrote. If it exists, it returns found true session, and then if it's new, and if we want to add it to Zoxide. What's up, Chris? Chris is here, everybody. You might know him as Typecraft. Hey, man, we're just doing some Go development today. Can you guys see okay? So that's kind of the idea. So with this connection model, I can then, in the actual connect logic, I can say like, hey, I know there's a lot going on here. Oop. Let's hide the hints. So the connection has a strategy. It calls a strategy. If it errors, then we throw the error, because I want things to fail if they're not going the right way. I have some silent stuff that, like, if it's not what we expect, it just silently continues. And then if found, right, then we're going to add to Zoxide if that connection has asked for that to be added to Zoxide. And then if it's a new session, we have to create the tmux session. And then once all of that is done, we can either switch or attach to it, depending on if we're inside tmux or not. And of course, if you're not familiar, Sesh already has an option where you can force switching. So you can like pass a flag. This is how the raycast thing works, which the raycast thing isn't going to work right now because I'm in the development cycle right now. But hey, look, live stream started. So Sesh will call a switch command sort of indirectly. And if you ever want to do that, you can do sesh connect switch, and then you can switch the thing. I think it's sesh connect, yeah, -s switch, always switch, never attach, which is, it's useful. We're going to definitely keep that. But I simplified it all down to just these few lines. What is this guy doing? Yeah. So I'm also have this idea of ignoring Zoxide. So like maybe when you switch to tmux sessions, these are like active. And so you don't want to add to the Zoxide score every single time that you switch to tmux sessions. So the idea will be that you perhaps could add something like that if you wanted. So we just got to keep going, basically. I might as well double check my tmux config. v2, no. So what I'll probably do is bind, just for now, I'm going to probably bind J to Sesh v2. Oh, do I need to kill tmux? Maybe I do. v2 connection. It doesn't even want to work. I just want to speed up my workflow here so that I don't have to go back and forth all the time. v2 connector. So we'll probably just start working on it and then we'll test it later. So my tmux strategy, I think I'm just going to name this delete to that. And so then we got config.go and config test.go. And so we're going to say, we're just going to basically just do what this guy's doing. And so we're going to pass the real connector and we're going to have a name and it's going to return that. And let's see, config. The config is already there. So we just need to find the config value. So we'll just do some sort of find config. And it will, it's not a connection. It is a model.config dot, what is this? Session config. So it might return that, it might not. And this will just be a simple c.config sessions. This is probably why I slowed down. The question now is, do I want to create a map and an array, like a directory and an ordered index like we did the last time? My thought is maybe it doesn't matter, but it does. I kind of like this idea of being able to just ask for a key, and if it's there, then that's it. I just have it. But I think for the sake of config, let's see, how do we do this before? Let's go back to our lister and let's go to config. And so we have this config key, realister, config. Oh, I have a find configs already here. So let's just stick to that. Find config session. All right, so we'll just do what we did there. Lister find config session based off of the name. And we're just going to say like the config or exists. And if doesn't exist, we're just going to do this. Yeah, so we don't have to do any of that there. Not a fan of this sort of weird. Okay, that's fine. All right, so that's if we find it. And then if we do find it, then we're going to return a connection. And we're going to say that it was found. True. The session is the config. It is new. So new becomes true. And then add to Zuckside for now is going to be true. And that's it. So now all that we should have to do is go back to the connect. And this is going to be the config strategy. And so now go build v2. Oh, right. So I guess we will get rid of that for now. So Sesh v2. Connect. And let's connect to tmux config, please. No connection found. Not true. tmux config. So that should have found one of the configs. Config strategy. Print. So that's not going to be found. Where does the config come from here? On my lister, the config. I would expect it to have returned. So now the question is, why doesn't it? So Sesh, let's just run this. Sesh v2 list, tmux config. Did I run into an issue? No, that's right. Oh, it does return empty. Okay. Well, let's do the right thing here and let's put our testing in. So I must have not done something right. By the way, Chris, maybe you know if you're still hanging out. Andres, maybe you know. I kind of want language models to just write test files on my behalf. And I don't want to like go to the LLM and pass it the code and then ask for it nicely to send me code and then copy and paste it back in. I want to literally just like push a button and my tests be generated automatically by a language model. They're all pretty good now and more than capable of giving me most of what I need. Has anyone found success doing that? Or anyone else that is hanging out with us? So let's see if I can get better at this. We are going to test config strategy. And we're going to pass test, testing. I'm always forgetting what this is. I feel like just showing up every week doing this, I'm going to get it. It is T. Okay. So that's testing. We're going to basically mock this. And we're going to borrow all this. And we're going to do all that. And we're just going to do some sort of similar attach. Should create and attach to config session. Not attached. We're going to find tmux config. And this is going to be called tmux config. And this is going to be tmux something like dot files config tmux. And the startup script is in Vim. We don't need to call that. All right. which I still have to do startup script stuff. But that should only have to happen once outside of the strategies. It'll just be in the general connect area. All right, so we're going to config strategy. And no options. And I'm not passing that. And it's gonna not like this. Oh, wait, hold on. I do need mock lister. Oh, is the order wrong? No, that's right. Okay, mockery. Nice. Just our mocks were out of date. By the way, Chris, have you tried inlay hints? Do you like this? It's kind of overwhelming sometimes, especially with Go. Like Go's like, hey, everything has got an inferred type. I might make it default to not be there, but it's interesting to say the least. So it shouldn't pass yet. I'm not really worried about, I guess, what is going to be called. Too busy for me? Yeah, that's fair, Mark. I mean, look at how much different it is. I think if you're in someone else's code and you're reading code, I think it's really valuable potentially. So you're like, oh, hey, cool. This is the argument's name and these are the variables and things like that, right? You're like, okay, method name arguments is a spread. So like that spread operator, that's cool. So I can return as many as I want kind of thing. But it's not always helpful. Okay, so it doesn't like this. I can build. Let's just try. Go test. No test files. I probably should just go here. Oh, connector test. No, there is no connector test. Config sesh test. That thing it's asking for isn't there anymore. I don't understand. Failed, build failed. But we know that, actually, maybe we don't know. It passes. So what is this complaining about? Connector failed. Undefined established tmux connection. Oh. So this tmux strategy. Is that it? No. Cool. Are these gonna work? No, they're not, right? So this all changed. I guess I'm gonna have to do these differently, but what I want is to test this right now. So it actually finds that. So our assertion Come on, what is going on? I know. What is this noise thing? Failed to install bash ls. I shouldn't bash ls. I always get this. Have you guys seen this? Lock file exists. Installation is already running in another process. Run with force. This happens to me all the time. It's like Mason's just like mad. So what? This is. There we go. Bash language server. Okay, so we will call Mason force. But even if I try to like update one of these, like let's update this guy, I think the same error happens. Oh, no, it doesn't. Okay, well, there you go. What's up? Ian's here, everybody. He's here. Yeah, we're just doing work, man. We're just getting it done. So I guess what I wanted to do is I wanted to assert nil, and I think you just pass that, and then we're gonna assert equal the name of the session we're connecting to should be tmux config, right? And so that would be what gets returned, which is the connection dot session dot name. So let's see if that worked. Cool. Let's go. It worked. It worked. I love that. Sometimes I don't know why this happens. Sometimes it shows up over the entire screen. Yeah, I have no idea why it does that, but that's fun. First try. Well, Andres, I've been working plenty of hours on this project outside of streaming, so let's not go that far. I've done a lot of grunt work here, so you guys get to see the benefits. Andres, I am curious though. So this is my dependency injection strategy, right? We're using dir and home and lister and tmux and zoxide, and so all these things are being mocked, and they get passed into the real connector, right? And then on the specific functions I know that are going to be called, I'm calling what I want to have happen, right? And so when all this comes together, Mockery auto generates the mockify, whatever it's called. Are they going to be here? This mock thing, right? So this is all generated by Mockery, and it takes the testify mock package and it like creates placeholders for all of the functions that live on the interface for, lister. Let's just go to connector for all this stuff, right? Is there a next step in me not having to do all of this every time? Is there like a simpler approach or an auto-generated thing? Which I get that, what is it? Like these ones, I do expect to have to call, but I'm just curious if there's any strategies for not having to put so much into it, right? There's like 8 or 10 lines just to get everything scaffolded. So just curious. So if this worked, you have to always do that? Okay. Well, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, at least we know what's involved, right? We know what's happening here. And I've done this outside of the actual run here so that I can just reuse these. And I actually learned recently that when I'm doing all this outside, right, and attach session and add, in the tests, I actually mock one at a time like this. But nil. There is a strategy where I have to basically call it. I have to like reset these between. I wonder if it's here. Reset mock. Was this it? No, this wasn't it. You can like set the mock as nil and it like resets it between them. Last week. No, that's not it. Nil. Yeah. Expected calls nil. So kind of cool that you can just say like, hey, between every one of these tests, just like reset it, which is common in like Jest, like the Jest testing Mocha library. Like you can reset things. So it's kind of interesting that you can do this. It was a little bit of a pain figuring that out, and I need to remember that as we go through today. But anyway, kind of interesting. Formagging doesn't seem too bad, Ian. I guess not. I mean, realistically, there are lots of things going on. So this isn't the most complicated thing. I can't imagine doing something like this at scale for like a big company, because this isn't really, this would scale out kind of crappy in my opinion. But this project's relatively simple. So I'm like, okay, this is fine. This isn't a big deal. I don't know. What do you guys think? A helper function that will return that mock. I see. So you would wrap all this up in some sort of make me a mocked thing, please. Yeah. But like, could that be auto generated is my question, right? It's like just always mock all of these, all of them always, and I'm always going to just test the actual logic of the function or the package I'm in. I don't want to, do any sort of overwriting or anything of otherwise I can just call this after it, right? But anyway, interesting. I'll play around with it more. I think as I get more testing done, I'll get better at it and I'll get a sense of how to reuse code better. I definitely want to do it with the tmux stuff, because the tmux stuff was kind of a pain. You guys remember that? The tmux v2 tmux test. This one was kind of wild because you had this like these big things that you have to create, which at some point there's an actual, this one was a pain in the ass too to make, because you've got to, I basically just did it in my terminal and pasted that result into here, because I mean, how are you going to recreate this? This is a mess. It's not a mess. It's just very computer-like. It's like a computer talking, right? Anyway, let's go back to the connector. And I guess let's test this again. I don't know why it's not working. So we can build list. We can list tmux session, and then we want to sesh connect tmux config. But it can't find a connection. So clearly something's going wrong. My guess is that the actual, let's close out most of this. All right, so let's go to config. Is that when we're going to find it, config, something's going on here where we're not getting what we expect. Now, I don't think I can assign this. So we're going to say don't assign a length on the word index, make it empty, and I can so No capacity. I just forget. That, right? And then I append to it. So what's happening is I'm mocking this thing, so the test isn't really telling me that this works. But we know when we list that it works. All right, so hold on. We know that that actually works. So we list the config. We ask if this exists. It doesn't exist. I guess we'll... Sessions. Sure. So we get all of our guys. They're coming through. Oh, look, it's /C000. That's not good. So my key is bad? What is that? Why is it doing that? Did it actually capture a session? It did. Look, it's got this name and then it's got 000. So something's going on with this. It must be the way that we're creating this. Is it the ordered index thing that I'm doing here? And the directory key, we're assigning that key. So key. Yeah, these keys look fine. Why do they come out like this with the C? Oh, maybe this is the... I'm looking in the wrong place, aren't I? So what's being found is tmux config. Let's find out where that lives in here. It should be... It's kind of hard to read. This is where I would love to use a debugger. I guess I need to test my lister better or something. Maybe the find config is what's going wrong. I need to test that. Test config. So that is C's and then 000. So the name isn't there. Why am I not getting, or is it pointing to something? Am I doing this wrong? Does it need to be like, see how it's like 000? Tmux config. Config tmux config. Oh, maybe the colon is bad? Why do I not see a colon there? I would have expected colon tmux config. Oh, there it is. And it returns config tmux config. Well, that's wrong. Session name. Did I test this? Does this test actually work? It does. So we expect... Let's do an assertion. We expect tmux config on the name. Maybe that is going to fail. Ooh. Oh, wait, hold on. Sesh config, not tmux. Sesh config. Sesh config is sesh config. Yeah, it seems to be fine in the testing. Oh, but I'm mocking this part too. Okay. Well, then what is making it not work? Let's figure it out. So I did tmux config, and then we have config tmux config, and then no connection found. What the heck? Maybe I can find config session test. So we're gonna t.run should find config session. So in finding it, we will probably just move this guy up. Real lister. Let's put him here. Let's do some of this and some of that. And then we will find config session. And we put the sessions. No, we put the lister. And then we put sesh config. And what is it expecting? That. And then we assert nil error. And then we assert equal sesh config on the session name. What is this? Name is all we pass here. Okay. So it doesn't find it. But we do say that config returns that. So clearly there is something wrong with my find config. Bummer. All right, let's fix it. Config, find. I guess we'll get rid of all these other files. Config test. Sesh config, config sesh config. We got our map of config sesh config. So this is the part that's throwing me off. What is this? Why is it doing this? Why is it config sesh config? Why is config even there? Part of me thinks that something's going wrong with the name. So when we're assigning the name, format print session name. Oh, source. So source, session name, path. What are these extra assignments though? What are these additional assignments here? It's a 0, 0, 0. I don't know what that is. Expected noble got false. Okay, so this is found should be true. I think we call this exists. Equal true exists. So it's coming back false, but why? So sesh config sesh config is my key. So this is the name is sesh config. And then if the session name isn't an empty string, we're printing. Oh, is that why? I get that the key, but I'm assigning session.name to name. And so that is what's supposed to be matching. Maybe it's needing the key. Is that what we're saying? No, because look, I'm supposed to pass the name in and it's supposed to be assigned. Oh, it does need to be a key, doesn't it? Dang it. Dang it. All right. So then what did I do with tmux? Why did tmux work? Or maybe I broke tmux. I probably broke tmux. I sure did. Okay, so at some point, func we're going to say tmux key. We did this before, and I don't remember why I simplified it. Did I simplify it because the find command seems silly? Maybe we don't need to do this anymore? No, it's still useful to have this function. So I guess we'll just keep doing this. So we'll just return whatever is being passed in. tmux key. So this becomes tmux key session name. And then this guy is if exists. So key is tmux key name, and that becomes the key. All right. Thanks, Andres. I think you're right, man. That was the bug. So config. We're going to repeat this. Func config key. Return. That was it. Whoa, why is it way down here? There we go. So this guy becomes config key. Session name. Key. And then key is the config key on the name and becomes the key. All right. Seems fine to me. All right, what do we want to do? Go back to the config test. Hey, which means that we should be able to just build and run that. Ooh, interesting. Failed to switch to tmux session. Failed to switch to tmux session. Exit status 1. Interesting. All right. Well, it seems that the session probably wasn't created if that's the case. So let's take a better look at this. So we have our new session logic that is on the connect command. So our strategy, we receive it. New should be true. New is true. So then that means, what is this? Blank. That we would create a new session. How does my new session work? I'm pretty sure I have it right. So the new session, tmux new session. Okay. No, so what I have to replace? Can I? Interesting. That's interesting. That I could do that. That feels a little bit safer anyway. So this new set, I've never ran this new session before, so I don't actually know if this works yet. S session name. I can't really unit test this because what's the point of unit testing something that's not going to happen? in a testing environment. So that's interesting, right? Let's try again. tmux config, yeah. So let's see if it's one of those things that like, okay, so dot files doesn't work either. We can see there's no new session being made yet. So what did I do before? Let's just go back. tmux, new session -d directory, no detached, s name c path, s name. Why, who did this? Why did I do this? This is all wrong. Would it help if I did it right? tmux new session. Let's put this guy after that. -s name -c. I must have just made stuff up. That's crazy. Maybe that was I'm not going to blame Copilot, but maybe I was like, "Oh, thank you, Copilot," and it was just completely off. That is actually probably a reasonable thing that could have happened. Oh, sweet. Yeah, so it's just a bad command. By the way, I love Git work trees. It has been like at least 6 months now, and boy, are they helpful. Especially when I'm making big sweeping changes to code, because I do that. Okay, so it didn't go to this directory. So let's just do what we're always good at. Let's man tmux. Where's the actual? There we go. C is the start directory. Okay, so then did it not work? C is the tmux. C is the start directory. So did I pass that into the connection? Oh, no, not that one. This one. Path. So that's the argument. That's what it's supposed to be. Starter. Yeah, see, here's where like in the hints help. Starter is this argument, right? So that is, oh, actually, can you guys see that? Yeah. So that is pretty helpful, actually. Is the path just not anything useful? So Mark, just try it like once in like one project. You don't need like your entire projects to all become work trees. Just try with one. I do a lot of scripting to like make work trees easier. So maybe I need to iron out how that's working so I can actually try to educate at that level, because it's one of those things that it's not like perfect right now. Not that it has to be perfect, but it's not translatable, I think, to the masses yet. So, but I do recommend Nick Nisi has a good blog post on it. Whereas that's kind of where I started learning. Nick Nisi work trees. Yeah, how I use Git work trees. So give that a read. It's a useful starting point. So yeah. All right, let's see what's going on here. So on my list, I want to get rid of all these prints because we figured out the problem. Prints. So let's go to there. All right, that should be good. Let's go build. Okay, so it wasn't a full path. Is that the problem? So if I was to actually do this, tmux new session d, what did we say all this was? D is detached, right? And then S and then C. S dot files, C dot files. Ah, so C didn't work. So did it not work because it needs to be the full path? Wait, hold on. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So then I already was talking about this a while back, and I think that there's an opportunity here to do it differently than I've been doing it in the past, which means, and I actually ran out of music. I want some more music. How about Dua? Why would it be backwards? Cool. So when we list config, I'm pretty sure that when we find config, yeah, we're doing that, we're doing that, we're doing that. I don't really ever care. Lister should have dir. Wait, hold on. What does lister have? Let's go to lister. Home. Is it home? New home, shorten home, expand home. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to do l.home.expand home with session.path. So now anytime we ever list this, wait, hold on. Can this return an error? Oh, it can. Okay. So I guess we will path new line, and then if error is not nil, then we're gonna return can expand home. But when does this ever really fail? It doesn't really fail very often. If it can't get the user home dir, it will freak out. Oh, but I silently fail on that. Oh no, I don't silently fail. I do return an error. Okay. That should be the problem. And I probably could add a unit test for listing configs. So let's do that. To do make sure because see, I use this path, so we can literally just. This is where I'm like, okay, now all this has to sort of be different, but that's okay. My to do should be fine. Okay, so if we do all this, I need to commit soon. I've been doing a lot of work, and it's been an hour. So let's just test it. So it should work now. Dot files isn't there. Oh, I'm dumb. Dot files v2, and then let's sesh v2 connect to dot files. Hey, yeah. Now we're going. So I'm pretty happy with what's going on here. Let's make sure go tests. What's going to fail? Is a bunch of crap going to fail? No. Can't do that. Can't do that. Can't do that. Okay, this isn't fun. Test establishing tmux connection. My assertions changed on that. Okay, so these changed. Let's just change them. It's not going to return this anymore. It's going to become the connection is asserting dot files is on the connection's name. Yes. Cool. Panic. Expanding home has to be, yeah, because config. That is on the list, right? Lister. Config test. So none of these pass now because we need to mock home. This is the fun part where it's like, I have to mock that this ran. I don't know how to, I haven't done this yet. Maybe Andres, you know. Do you see, so you see a basketball game, Mark, and then you see my screen, and then you see me floating. You have like triple screens all on one place. I love it. That's funny. Well, the real question is my voice louder than the game? I respect your priorities, though. So I need to mock that expanding home does what it needs to do, but I don't really care. This is what I was talking about. I guess I need to just do it. Just do it, Josh. Okay, so mock home on expand home return the same value. That's it. Look at that. Copilot immediately knew what I wanted to do. Boom. This is annoying though. It's like, hey, if you give me this value, then return the same value. I get why I want to test when it changes, sure, but this is annoying. So you have to do this every time any function's ever called using the mockery pattern. So just a heads up to people that aren't familiar with this workflow. It's like anything that gets called has to have a mock on something, do something. You can't not tell it what to do. It'll crash every time. It'll crash. All right, let's just keep going. Unexpected method call. tmux test. Okay, tmux switch or attach. Tmux switch or attach. Okay, tmux. That's on the v2 tmux test. And then I mock things, right? No. No. This is In the tmux. Oh, switch or attach test. Okay, tmux, switch or attach test. So none of these are going to pass. Oh, no, just the end. All right. So then that means, see how I'm resetting those? So that's what I was talking about earlier. On command, tmux attach client. Any? Is that enough? No. Attach session. Wait, hold on. Attach session. So this changed. -t. Anything. Cool. Because we did change that, so that makes sense. And then this doesn't do anything. I don't need to test. That's not a real test, so we're just gonna cut that guy out. Okay, cool. We'll close that. We do need green. I don't really like committing if I have, things failing. All right. Now I kind of want to go back to one of these files and switch or attach. And let's get rid of that. And let's get rid of that. And let's see, is coverage going to work? Yeah, cool. So see, I was gonna test errors, and that's the one part that isn't covered, right? So okay, I get it. I wonder if NeoTest can run all of the tests across all the files. I mean, it's super good at what it does. The fact that it, right, we can run it, all the files, all the tests in a file is really quick and simple. By the way, I'm on a studio display, and when I'm not streaming, all of this is like zoomed out, and it's really nice. Like everything is like perfectly where it needs to be. Nothing is like running over much. I mean, maybe this line, but like in most cases, it's all very, very nice. And I use the debugger a lot, which in the testing, I probably, instead of printing, I probably would have been better off using the debugger. But it's been fun. It's been fun to mess with this system and layout and get it nice and special, just the way I like it. All right, so I guess we'll commit. What do we want to commit? We want to commit a feature working connect tmux and config strategies. When I work this quickly and I'm doing all these big changes and rewrites, I'm like moving really, really fast. But in the future, I'll probably work slower. That was a bit of a cheap commit, I would say. Hey, I did all these things. So there's always opportunities to be more intentional. You like printing, Andres? Yeah, I mean, I get it, man. But the debugger's great when you get good at it. And I feel like I'm just starting to get decent at it. Although I forgot to use it. I didn't use it in this case. But I feel like when you're live coding in front of 33 people, it feels very different than when you're in your computer, at a coffee shop alone with music blaring and like going. I tend to be a different developer here on stream. And I'm kind of talking a lot, right? I'm not talking to myself when I'm alone. Not usually. I might talk to my dogs. I think the node debugger is really great, actually. If you're doing node-based stuff, it's also really great. But yeah. All right, so Zoxide's the last one. So the connector we're gonna add. Let's just open this back up. So we have the connector on the connect command. Oh, I don't think we're going to get through all of it today. I got hung up on a few things already that kind of slowed me down, but Zoxide is a last resort. And what I mean by that is anytime that you do this and you pass in something like one of these values here, it technically came from Zoxide, but we know that this is a path. Like we know it's a path. That's what it is. That's how it's showing up in the world, right? So for me, anytime you give me a path, I'm just going to assert, is this a path? Yes, it's a path. Okay, make a tmux session out of this path. And what we do as a fallback, the fourth strategy here is Zoxide. And so what I mean by that is I think this is how it works already. If you don't give it a path, let's say you just give it some random word that is part of a path somewhere on your computer, kind of like how Zoxide works, where you do like Z, right? And you say thing. Thing isn't necessarily a full path, so you have to look it up in Zoxide, find the first match, and then connect to that, and then move forward with creating a session. So I hope to do a lot more of this work in the next, few days or week to get through the rest of this. But this is kind of the meat of why Sesh is really great, in my opinion, because you just give it a path. Hey, I want to go here, please, on my computer. And Sesh goes, okay, is this a Git repository? Cool. I'll make the appropriate named session on your behalf. And so far, I feel like that's the one thing that differentiates Sesh from a lot of other tmux session managers, is it doesn't go through the effort of, okay, you've looked at a grandchild folder on a Git project, and so we're going to name it the Git project plus the child folder plus the grandchild folder. And you have this really pleasing and helpful contextualized thing like this one, Sesh v2 connector, right? That is just because Sesh goes, okay, great. Yeah, this is what you want. So I do need to work this out. There's going to be some new packages that have to be introduced, probably some sort of Git package, I think, where I'm going to detect stuff. Definitely use the directory package. So there's a lot in this connector. We're going to see how complicated this makes it for me. So let me take a breath. Maybe I'll eat a cracker. Cheers. Okay, so dir. We're doing I don't know why it decides to do this. That's not what I want. Dir strategy. And this passes in my real connector and name. And it will always return a model connection or an error. So it's one of those things that we're like gonna say, like, is this a dir? Is this enough? This won't be everything I want it to be, but it'll be found true, new true, add to Zoxide true. If it's not found, is there absolute path? Good try, Copilot. You are wrong, sir. You are wrong. Unknown field path. I'm not even getting it right. Oh, session. Come on. Session. So this is where it's like name. Come on. Name is name. Path is absolute path. This isn't enough. Session. I knew that. Config sesh session. Do I need to point it? No. Unknown field session. Oh. Session. Too many S's? Too many S's. All right, so we got our session. Super simple version, right? This isn't what we want it to always be. The source is Zoxide. So this is where it's like, is there a new source called dir or like path or like something like that? I don't think so. Technically, it's going to come from Zoxide. In the most cases, the way people use the way I intended for people to use this. So it's not too misleading. Let's just do this for now. Home.expand home on name, and we're going to pass, let's go here, path. We're just going to do that. All right. That's it. Now, the whole naming the session name needs to be something specific. Like that isn't going to work here yet. So there's strategy. I do start with a bare repo. Okay, I kind of want to just do it and see what happens. So we're going to do something like, we're going to connect to users, Josh Medeski /c/dot files. It totally worked. So now if I was to do this, it's going to give me a different result, but it should work. Oh, wait, hold on. That won't work. Nice. I like this song. Illusion. You guys can't hear it. I wish I could play music. Well, I've seen people like do like lo-fi stuff, so let me know if you guys like that lo-fi background music when you're watching a stream. I'd rather just listen to music I enjoy while I'm working, but I get that I can't play that stuff when I stream. I actually kind of really love that this worked so easily the first time, so we're just gonna add dir strategy. Just a few lines of code. Pretty good. Let's see. We want the connector. All right. So this guy, we now actually need to change it so that the name uses. So this is like crazy stuff. The connect stuff, connect commands. We have this connect package. It's now called a connector, but we do this sesh determining logic. And this determining logic determines, it's like all mixed, right? So there's not this idea of strategies and each strategy has its own procedures. It's like this weird, like mixed thing. So I did separate it and I think it's a lot easier to understand now. However, this is what we need to recreate. So we want to create a name from a path. It's like here, we know that this is an absolute path, right? Or at least we've gotten that far in the code that we go, great, this is a path. We know it's an absolute path. We know that we're going to use it. And so we're going to do this name from Git stuff. And I've already done it, so I don't need to recreate all of it, but I do need to set up dependency injection. And I need to separate my concerns. So the fun part is, how do I want to go about doing all this? So I get to simplify this logic. These are Git specific commands, worktree path. I think that we will set this up. Okay, so get worktree path. I have this whole relative stuff I got to deal with. So I need good unit testing, and I need to make sure that when I call these things, I get what I expect. And so I can do better testing. This isn't very well tested right now. So let's just start small. So anything that I run that's Git will start v2 here. So we're gonna have a git.go. Yes. Package go. And we're just gonna like the tmux one. V2 tmux. Let's open this guy. So we have our type, and it's going to be called git interface. And we're basically just going to, let's go back to main. We have this like rev parse show top level. Let's just like explain what this does. This option changes the current working directory to the one specified. Rev parse processes revision commit identifiers, outputs the absolute path of the top level directory of the current Git repository. So this command is like git root, git top level directory. So you can pass anything in and it'll go, hey, here's the top level directory. Top level directory of, I just call it, and you call it on the path. Got it. So when I call a path like sesh main, right? Sesh main. Well, this is a work tree. It's less useful. Let's go to like .files/alacrity, right? So .files is the root, but the path is all the way to alacrity, and then we merge all of this together. So let's just run it. Let's just like git -c present working directory top level. Yeah. So we get the full path up to .files because .files is where the Git repository starts. So maybe I'll just call it show top level. I like show top level. All right. So let's do that. v2, let's cd git, and let's make that our session. Show top level, and we're going to return that. Yes. What's next? I can work in baby steps. So we're going to get the root path. And then we're going to like, we're getting the name from Git. This will go somewhere. I haven't decided where yet. I don't know if I need some sort of like, maybe it just lives in the connector package for now in the dir. Well, it can't live in the dir. Zoxide's going to end up using this too. So we'll do some, we'll find a good place for it. I don't know if I'll get to it on stream today. So file path base. Do we have file path here already? I don't know. Config file path. Oh yeah, we're doing it once. Where are we doing this? File path on path wrap. Cool. So we'll go here. The way that one works is returns the last element of the path. The trailing path separates are removed before extracting the last element. So the base ends up being, hey, this is like where we start. This is the full path. And then the base is where does this start? And then basically we take the base and we assign it to the relative path by trimming the root off of the result. It's interesting. It's a little bit complicated, which is why I don't think many people tried to create this feature. I love this feature, but it is weird and a little bit confusing. So root and base. So basically, like if root and base end up not being defined, then we like don't care, and it's just an empty nothing string being appended or prepended or whatever. Like it just shows up. But relative path, we get it from result. Okay, result and root plus base. I think the logic is still sound. I don't personally love it, but it works. But it works, right? All right, but my brain hurts. Does your guys' brain hurt? All right, let's see how far I get with this. I think I'm losing steam. I think I need to. I've been watching a show called Dark Matter. Has anyone seen this show? No spoilers. I'm not caught up. Super interesting Apple TV show about like quantum mechanics and like Schrodinger's cat, kind of that concept put into a sci-fi. It's kind of fun. I'm a little bit hooked, so I'll probably go watch that after this. Okay, so file path base. It's just a path. It always returns a string. Path string returns string. Base. I like a good. This has not been too bad for me. I've been fairly happy with it. Base path string. Wait, hold on. Not enough values? Oh. Yeah. Cool. So we know that's coming. You guys got any questions for me? You just like watching me work? Okay. File path. Strings, I haven't created a wrapper package. It feels kind of silly to me to make string manipulation stuff be like put in a dependency injection workflow. Like I was like, I don't need to do that. I could, but it feels odd to ever not do it in unit like unit tests do it. It's fine. It's not a big deal. So that's where I'm at. Dude, are we gonna pair program? Ian, are you coming in? Are you pair programming with me next week? I know you're working. But I'm like talking your ear off, right? I guess you guys like being here because I talk about all sorts of things, but I would need a little bit more focus if I was pair programming. But honestly, this is like rubber ducking, right? It's like I get to just, for those that aren't familiar with that term, in the programming world, we call something rubber ducking, meaning you can just talk to, like if I wanted to talk to, I have a little 3D printed thing here. He holds a Rubik's Cube. How about that? That's kind of fun. But I could just talk to it. And just in the act of talking to it, it helps you work through your problems. And so sometimes these streams are super useful because I'm able to actually share what I'm doing in a way that helps me process it, I guess. All right, so we got root path. Work tree path is get common dir. Right. Prints the path of the common Git directory. Get common dir. Yeah, so we're going to just do that too. So we'll just call it get common dir. And does it? It's getting a little big on me. Is this one just return get common dir? Okay, now I lost it. Just a string? Yeah, just a string. Okay. So then the way that this works is our Git guy is absolutely going to need, I'm going to go ahead and get my tmux one up here again. Tmux. So you end up with the real one. Type real git. And we know we need file path, right? What do we call this? File wrap? Path wrap. Path wrap. Wait, hold on. Path wrap dot path wrap dot path. All right. And then when we call our functions, we do our new, and our new is going to call the real thing, new get, and that needs to be real. And this is real get. And so far, path wrap goes like that. And we pass path wrap and we return get. Real get. Path wrap, path wrap. Come on. Real get. What is going on? Returns get, real get. Oh, right. So we actually have to implement it. So real get, and then the command package, of course. Of course. All right. So then the command. What is it? Shell, right? Shell. shell goes there. And then we got real get shell dot command. And I guess the current working directory has to be passed in, right? Show top level of the thing I pass it. Because we're never calling it on its own. We're always calling it, with cpath. So that's something to always keep in mind. Name. Pretty good here. So we're going to always do name string. Name string. Because Sesh never really does stuff in where it's at. The sesh dot command kind of does that, but we end up taking dot and converting it to the present working directory anyways. So that one I haven't worked into my strategy. I'll probably have a dot strategy that will just be like, if you give me a dot, then always do this strategy, right? And so we'll see how that plays out. But let's see. So real get path wrap shell get rev parse goes before path string path string, and then we're gonna get common dir. I don't know if I need to like rev parse show common level. I don't know. Get common dir show top. I'm fine with this. All right, show top level, and then our common dir is just the same command with a different flag. Get common dir. We'll see how well this stuff translates to what I'm doing here. In this section, because there is a little bit of like nuance here, but some of this nuance. Oh, interesting. I'm doing a match on .get. There is some extra stuff going on here. It has to do with work trees because I'm dealing with bare work trees, which I know, Mark, you were asking that question. So there's probably some work to be done. I don't think it's going to work out by just calling it. But the question is, do I do that in the Git project, or do I do that in the package, or do I do it in the other package? I don't know yet. All right, so that's that one. Then we do all this sort of crazy nonsense of merging everything together. So I probably will still do that. What I don't like is this like name from Git. So I'll show you guys. This is called, and then we say, oh, if it is not empty, then do this. Otherwise, get the base. Which I do like base. This is super helpful. I almost wonder if there's some sort of like middleman package that's worth scaffolding up for all of this, but really the connector is the one doing it. So that's the direction that I've been going so far. So what we're going to do. What if I did I could do all this in Git. I don't know yet. The good news is I can just call these CLI commands to get the output and then start working through unit testing to get my desired end result. So show top level, get common dir. Our base, so that's the end of that. Look at all this music. Don't know what I want. How about a little hosier? We'll finish strong with a little Irish folk. How about that? Okay. So I'm basically, all of this is happening in the name package. Part of me wants to just recreate this sort of a package. I think it was useful saying, like, if you give me this, then I expect that. Like, anytime I give you something, name me. Determine name is the function that we're using. So something to think about. It'd be like session name. There'd be some session name type package. All right, let's put it there and see what happens. So that is back to the project. That's Git. I guess the connector. We're going to expand home. And if it's an absolute one, then we're going to go through all this. So get name of session. So we're going to determine that. It'll just be one line here, hopefully. I do want this, I think, to be its own thing. So I give it a directory. If it's not a directory, okay, let's do it. So now the question is, when we look at this, do we just want another one like name? Because it's going to have its own dependencies. And when it comes to testing, I can just mock tests where I say, okay, when I do this, I expect that result. And if I change that behavior, the mocks are they going to be a big deal? They're not really going to be a big impact. So I think I'm going to start with this. So let's go CV name, and let's go there, and let's call this package name. And we will begin to put all this together. I guess Git won't be a direct dependency on connector, which is nice. So it does sort of simplify some of the integrated packages where they have lots of packages, involved. So then let's create our interface called name. And then we say name from path. And the path returns that. And I do think that we want this to potentially error. Did I do this wrong? Git type. It's a type, not an interface, right? Ah, what was that? What is happening? Type name interface. Why don't we call it a namer? Namer. Yes, thank you, sir. Getter is a little bit funny, but namer is a package who names. From path. So we know that we're going to end up with what? Is pathwrap matter here? Pathwrap isn't going to be used here. It's going to be used here. We're never using this, so let's get rid of that. That simplifies that. It's just a shell. Yeah, shell is calling commands. Dude, Gabe, thanks for hanging out, man. We're just chilling. Do you guys want lo-fi next week? I can figure it out. We could totally jam out to lo-fi together if that's something that you guys show interest in. I often tell people just put on your own music, but I'm glad that I was a chill vibe for you tonight, or whatever time it is for you. Yeah, we'll be ending here soon. Let's see how far I get with this namer package. So I like namer a lot. So let's call it namer. Is namer ever a word? Namer? A word or set of words by which a person, place, or thing are known as addressed or referred to. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. Verb, to give name to. Yeah, namer. I'm fine with namer. Namer, I barely know her. No? Sorry, I had to. All right, so namer from path. Right. Sesh session given path. Right. Cool. We are doing path. We are using get. Get. And then our func for new. Namer, new. Is it real? No. Namer. Cannot use because func path is not there. I know. Namer. So we're going to show the commander from the path. Will this will always be an absolute path. So I don't really want to deal with transforming it here. I think generally that's the most responsible thing. I don't want to have to always deal with data manipulation. Plus we have to import the home package here, and I don't want to have to do that either. So that means if there's not that, we return, and we return something like that. I guess we could try to just kind of recreate what was going on here and figure out if it's going to blow up in our faces. Let's find out. So the root path was the top level stuff, and we trimmed the output. I'm not that worried about it. And then if there is no get root path, we just return. Okay, so name from get, otherwise file path base. I mean, that's fair. It's one of those things that, like, commander. If commander's empty, then we'll do like what is it? In.file path dot base path. Right? What was it? Path wrap. Come on, path wrap. Otherwise, return like that. Sure. I guess it's like not. We just kind of want happy path, right? So comment is that? Sure. Sure. So that's our namer. We probably need to do unit testing for this before we move on to implementing it later. So I think I'm going to settle down. I think that was a pretty good stream. So playing with the connection strategies, fixing some logic, making it better, using the new design pattern on the data, and working through some testing bugs and some mocking stuff. And it was interesting. I enjoyed today's stream. I hope you guys had a good time hanging out. My screen's not open. Let me pull this up. I'll be out of town next Thursday, so that'll be fun. I'll be enjoying that. But I might decide. Oh, my screen is really big. I think I might stream other times. Maybe I'll stream like on a Monday or a Tuesday, possibly. We're gonna see how the week goes, but don't expect me next Thursday because I will be out of town and I don't plan to stream. But join the Discord server if you're not there. Subscribe on YouTube. Another video will be coming. And yeah, I enjoyed this. I hope to see you guys next time. Bye.